You. Well, there recently has been some development in Germany, which is the creation of a robotics initiative called the Robotics Institute Germany. And as part of that, a bunch of researchers are organizing within Germany based on different scientific interests. And one of these groups was supposed to be the group of embodied intelligence. Um, And I'm going to tell you what happened, but whatever happened in the discussions about this group triggered me today not talking about some technical things, but to talk about this community as a whole and to make some comments, given that this is our 5th anniversary, um, and and I think it's a good time to reflect maybe upon where we stand as a community. So I personally believe that whatever it is that we mean by embodied intelligence, and I think over the last 5 years we didn't really manage to define it succinctly, but I think whatever we mean by that really is a superpower. Um, I really, and this was something that we all agreed upon in this meeting of this Robotics Institute Germany, and we were confused by the fact that not more roboticists are really interested in this, and that this is not completely absorbed into the mainstream of robotics. So let me just give you two examples from our research why I think it's a superpower. I mean, it's a superpower because if you do your embodiment right, if you leverage embodied intelligence, you can beat deep learning based systems in robotics tasks by a long shot. And I'm not going to go into the detail, but here's one example of in-hand manipulation that some of you may have seen already. There's some new developments, and I really think that some objective comparison to machine learning approaches reveals that this is much more general, doesn't require any sensing or special purpose construction of the hand, doesn't require computation or data. It's much more efficient. And another point, this is another example, this is actually a benchmark that the deep learning community defined for long horizon manipulation tasks. It's called the functional manipulation benchmark. There's another one called furniture bench. And you see here our approach to it, which is heavily based on the notions of embodiment, where a single demonstration is sufficient to solve these tasks robustly. I mean, this is a continuous video showing the demonstration, showing autonomous learning of the robot within like a minute and a half, and then 10 successful executions of this task. Whereas from one single demonstration, whereas the deep learning approaches use hundreds to thousands of demonstrations and get success rates of maybe 10 to 40%. So I really think that embodiment is a superpower, and we were really puzzled by why it's not seen as this. And so here are some thoughts about what it might be. Problem one, embodied might not be the right word, right? So for the last 10 years or so, I've been trying to pursue embodied intelligence, and it's a continuous feedback. People don't get it. People, like, what do you mean by embodied? I mean, every robot has a body. So what are you talking about? And I've been arguing against that for the last 10 years, but at some point, I think it might be wise to recognize that we cannot argue people out of this. In some sense, everything that we want to distinguish ourselves from is also embodied. So it's natural that using this word is confusing. Um, yeah, so the embodiment that we're referring to is not enough for intelligence, right? So it cannot stand really on its own as a general tool. So I think that is another aspect of this particular claim that makes it confusing. So I think, and maybe we can discuss this later if people are interested, that embodiment might not be the right word, given that we want to talk to people that already think that they are embodied. It's not really emphasizing the difference. Embodiment might not be the right concept to emphasize. I think that the right concept is computation, and that there are many different types of computation. Among them is predominantly mechanical computation, which is the form that I think we're talking about. So I think we need to reevaluate what it is that we really think is setting us apart from what everybody is doing. And I wrote a paper about this that is called Intelligence as Computation, which actually appeared in the previous proceedings of this conference, but it's also on archive, so you can take a look at that. So I think maybe embodiment is not even the right concept to use to describe the community. Then there's serious problems in the sense that every solution that leverages embodiment is a one-off. And that is very much the point, right? I mean, that's exactly what we're advocating. You should tailor your embodiment solution to your problem. But that also is a challenge, right? So the promise is that we can program the hardware so that together with the software, the behavior is robust and versatile, recognizing the fact that behavior is a result of both hardware and software, right? But it still means that we need to tailor the hardware each time. So that leads to problem 4, that to do embodied intelligence, people must know both hardware and software. And I think this is indeed a big hurdle it's a big hurdle to overcome. We've been building robot hands for 13 years now, I think, and still several people have tried to adapt the hand to build it themselves, and it is a huge investment in terms of time and equipment. So I don't know if this can be overcome, but if our community could offer some solutions here, then that would be super helpful. And the 5th problem, AI has embodied intelligence, so kind of this community has separated itself to some degree from, in quotes, artificial intelligence slash robotics. We have separate conferences where we're trying to have separate journals, separate venues. And I'm not sure whether that is in the, I mean, there were good reasons to do that, I understand, but there are also some negative consequences. And I think one of the negative consequences is that people are not exposed continuously to the accomplishments that they could achieve by embracing embodied intelligence to a bigger degree. So I'm not sure if this can be undone or if it can be ameliorated, but I think that these are 5 problems that our community should discuss, because I think that overcoming these 5 problems would advance our fields. It would advance our own, embodied intelligence, but it would advance AI. It would advance robotics. So I think, in some sense, with the power, and again, I think that we're sitting on a superpower. Sitting on such a superpower comes with a responsibility. And my feeling is that the maturity of our field is at a point where we can start thinking about exporting our accomplishments into the other fields, building bridges so that, we can move towards a more integrated scientific view with other fields. That's already everything I had to say. And I hope you find this interesting, and maybe during the discussion, we can discuss this a little bit. Thanks.
Okay. Wonderful, Oliver. Thank you. You are even ahead of time. That's great. But I think this is great food for thought, like for later when we have the panel. This is really something we can discuss at length. Hiroki had his hand up, I saw.
No, I just give the applause.
Okay.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think we could discuss a lot of that. I mean, one of the things is this, now there is this embodied AI, right? Like people using, using transformers and connecting them to robots. And that's, yeah, I also feel, I don't know, uneasy about that. To me, that is not like, embodied. If you have a gigantic neural network and then you just connect it, to a mechanism, and then you call this embodied AI. I don't know. What is your opinion on that, Oliver?
Yeah. I mean, I think that they have a completely different notion of embodiment. They think if I'm connected to a body, then it's embodied. The system is embodied as soon as it has a body, right? And I've had this discussion with people from the deep learning community, right? And they're just saying this. Look, it has a body. It's embodied, and there's a huge potential here to be unleashed, right? There just was a $40 billion funding round for OpenAI, which is crazy, right? $40 billion. I mean, this is like a small country, and I'm very sure that during the discussions, nobody asked, what is your strategy about embodiment? Right? When I really think that should have been a central question. So I think it's our problem. We own this problem that people use the word embodiment and they mean something that that hides what we really want to emphasize.
Yes, yes, I completely agree. Yeah, it's yeah, I think it's we should do something about it. Yeah, I guess maybe we should organize some workshops together with the other folks.
That would be great, yeah.
Yeah. And there's something in the chat. Thomas Franz, I see more integrated studies programs could solve some of those problems. All right. So yeah, maybe we should start with the students. Yeah, that's also a good point. Yeah, and
but if you think very egoistically, right? Right now, billions of dollars in funding are flowing into AI and robotics. I don't think this community is seeing much of that money, but I think that would be super helpful if this community saw some of that money. So I don't think it's their problem, right, to come to us to say we really would like to understand your message. I think it's our duty to send that message and to make people realize that this is a really important part of really developing future embodied AI systems, right? And then some money should come to this community. I think there's, we have a strong incentive in order to try to make that happen.
But we're in a difficult position, right? We cannot just like preach, you guys, are, your embodiment is shallow, you don't know what you're doing, it has to be done in a more constructive fashion.
Yeah, so within this Robotics Institute Germany, our group decided that we're going to put together 4 or 5 examples side by side of particular problem, let's say manipulation, and compare best state of the art in machine learning and state of the art in kind of more of an embodied soft approach, and really analyze the performance. I mean, the value of the paper that we want to publish is the in-depth comparison of these two approaches, right? And basically, hopefully confront them with empirical evidence that is difficult to ignore.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. So we might pick up on that later. Yeah. So thank you, Oliver. So we're going to move to the last scheduled talk in this session.